Hello and welcome to the February 2023 tutorial bundle. I hope you enjoy your time here and that you've taken the time to look at all of the videos because these Stampin' Up! Demonstrators are amazing. So we are Stampin' Up! Demonstrators from around the world. I'm in Winnipeg, Canada. My name is Denise Willerton. If you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would be honored to help you with your Stampin' Up! needs. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Let me bring the camera. Whoops, I don't want that view. I want this view. So here's the card that we're going to be creating today. And yeah, let's take that off. Here's the card that we're going to be creating today. And you know what? I want to show you another card very similar, but with just a splash of color. Okay, so I've got some Daffodil Delight behind here that I've sponged, and I vintaged up the corners just to give it a real kind of vintagey, kind of crushed feel. This is Night of Navy, but I really wanted to do tone on tone. So this is what I'm going to be featuring, but I just wanted to show you that you can do anything you want with this, obviously, with any card, okay? Let's get started. So we have your standard card base, which is 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. We're going to set that aside for now. I had all of my items ready for me. We are featuring Ranunculus Romance, and I'm going to use the dots from Beautifully Happy. Have you ever looked for something that has gone missing, and then when you look again, it's right in front of you? It was right in front of me. So I have pre-stamped this, and I used gray granite. Okay, and I use the die that go with the Ranunculus Romance. So here is the flower that I'm featuring, and I used from the bundle. Now I have Ranunculus in my garden, and they're amazing. They almost look like, how would you describe it? You know how poppy is a poppy is almost like a very light vellum, see-through, opaque kind of petal. Ranunculus is the same way, but it's all bundled up like this and almost looks like a rose. Okay, you know what I want to do is we're going to get our Wink of Stella out, and let's just quickly color this. Now, I was going to do this ahead of time, but I thought, you know what? This takes no time at all. And I wanted to show you how I really don't fuss a whole lot. I've got that set up all wrong. I really don't fuss a whole lot. I just kind of I scratch my way through and just kind of scribble. That's the word I'm looking for. I scribble my way through. So it's quite easy and not labor intensive. So that's done. Let's put some rind or some Stampin' Dimensionals behind that, and we're going to just set that aside. But it is basically ready for us. I'm going to grab, I don't want any of these showing. I'm going to grab a mini, and sometimes I even cut the minis, and that's when I call them miniers. Okay, so we're going to set that aside, and we are going to take our basic white panel, and this measures 3 3/4 by 5 inches. Grab yourself a piece of scrap. I just want to find a piece of scrap that's not too scrappy, because I always have them in front of me. And we're going to grab our gray granite and our blending brush. Get that opened, and we're going to do some blending. Okay, I want to start off and roll on, and that's on purpose. So I'm just wanting to kind of patina this up a little bit, kind of give it a little bit of a rustic, vintagey feel. Now, if you want, you can, what am I trying to say here? With the edges, you can kind of scratch them up, and maybe what I'll do, because I do have this one here, which is just a very elegant, very straight kind of card. Maybe I'll really vintage this one up and show you how I get that look. I know when I first, like this is years ago, I've been a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for about 14 years. And when I first started creating cards, I had no idea how some demonstrators got their edges looking the way they did. And I finally figured it out. So you can go as much as you want with this or as little as you want with this. And while this is still out, my blending brush and my stamp pad, I hope I don't sneeze. I'm fighting a little bit of a cold. We're going to take our card base, and rather than our card just being stark white on here, I want to kind of give that same feel to my card base on the front. Okay. Kind of a little bit of a hard color to see, but once you do start getting color on, like I don't mind that one bit. I actually love that look. I feel a sneeze coming on. I'm so sorry. So let's get I always like to start off and then roll onto my card. Otherwise, I get kind of that blotchy kind of look, and I don't care for that. And I don't know if there is a way around that other than starting off and rolling on, which is what I like to do. Now, it's really hard to see if you have enough, but you'd be surprised how that is all you need. Now, I can make it darker if I want, but I'm not going to. Now, this is going to be the front of my card. You know what I want to do? I want to open this up and see how stark that is. Let's do the same to the inside where we are going to write our sentiment or our little message of love to the recipient. Okay, so we're just, and you could use a darker color, which would really give you that effect even more so. But I wanted to stay with the lighter. And so after this, our blending is going to be done just all around the perimeter of your card. And that looks about good. So now we've got the inside where we're going to write our sentiments sponged, as well as the outside. Let's set that aside. Let's grab from Ranunculus Romance, let's grab this. And while I'm kind of thinking of the inside of the card, let's bring that back and let's stamp the inside of our card as well as our envelope. No naked insides and no naked envelopes. Not on my watch anyway. I've been doing that for years and I always forget to kind of feature that. So there's the inside of our card, and let's do our envelope. I always like to match my envelope with the inside of my card. So that's done. So we're going to set that aside and we're going to come back to this. But I want to use my Stamparatus for this. I just want a perfect image. And not that using the blocks doesn't give you a perfect image, but I know for myself, I am just so used to using my Stamparatus. I call myself a Stamparatus snob. Let's put that panel onto our Stamparatus. And I like to have packing tape with a little bit of design paper on my magnet, as well as on my window, because I use that kind of as a handle. Okay. Okay, here is our Ranunculus Romance. And if I put that down in the center, so I'm just eyeballing. I'm eyeballing left, right, top, bottom. But for this one on the panel, I want to pull it over just a smidge, just a smidge. So I'm not quite in the center, okay? And I will show you the reasoning for that in a moment. Okay, let's get some leverage under here. And I'm not in camera. There we go. So I've got some leverage under here. Let's ink that up. Tap, tap, tap. I tell my girls, tap, 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 or kiss, kiss, kiss. Don't smash. Down it goes. I love my pressure tool. It gives me something really nice to hang on to. So there's that. And if I don't like it, I could always come back and do it again, but I love it, so we're good. So then what I did ahead of time was I stamped this and I die cut it. Okay, so that was in here. And I just need a smidge for my sentiment. So we're going to just hang on to all of that. A little bit on my window here. I love my chamois, and you can tell that I've cut it up, and I did that on purpose. Okay, we are done with that. We're going to pull in just because I like that sentiment, and I just want to stay with it just because. And we're going to put it right down here on our scrap, okay? I'm on red rubber, so I don't need to worry about a foam mat behind that or under that. I'm not worried if I'm upside down because I'm going to be cutting this straight down and lift up. There is my just because. Look at that mess. Okay, close that up, and I'm pretty sure our stamping is all done. There's our flower. There's our sentiment. Let's grab our snips, and we are just going to cut straight across, top and bottom, like so. And then I am going to angle cut on that side and on that side. There's our sentiment. There's our trash. Now, I like to keep all my strips in a little bucket, okay? I got this, I believe it was at the Dollar Tree. So these are all my little strips, and I know this is gray granite, but I just wanted to show you this bucket. Just helps to have things really quick to grab, but I already had a piece from earlier. Grab your silicone mat, another one of my faves, and just a little strip of Tombow, if it comes. I just want a smidge. There it is, and that's more than a smidge. Let's spread that around like so. I like to use my silicone mat because it also gives me something to grab very easily to pick up my elements. Okay, this is going to go down on here, and we are just going to cut that sort of following what we just did, and just depending on how thick of a border you want, you can kind of decide what you want to do. That's how I like to do my little strip of sentiments if I want to put a little shadow behind it, like so. Okay? And if you want that to really pop, you could use your dry embossing powder and pop that on. Okay, so there's our card base, and our card panel has gone missing. What's wrong with me today? There's my card panel hiding under my stamp set. Okay, so we sponged the edges, we stamped our flower, and we were just off just a smidge. I already have dimensionals back here, and we used our Wink of Stella just to make those little flowers pop even more. You can put, if you want, you could put twine on your card. I chose not to. I just wanted to keep it really, really simple. Now, when I put this down, I want just a hint of this showing on the side, okay? I think you can see what I'm doing. Let's bring that camera in just a smidge more. Do you see how I am just a smidge off? Now, I don't really want that hanging like that, so we're going to take our Tombow, and we're just going to gently lift that up. I'm not going to bend it. And there's a tiny bit of Tombow on there. I'm just going to gently press that down and hold it for just a smidge. There we go. And now that's not going to flop anywhere. And I kind of have a little bit of this shadow effect happening behind the flower. I love that. We're going to put that down on our gray granite using Tombow again, or whatever adhesive you like. I know my go-to is the Tombow. And I think with Tombow, it's either a love-hate relationship. And I have used Tombow for years, and I'm used to it, and it doesn't scare me. Oh, I forgot to do something, and I love the wiggle room. Let's put this down here. I forgot to do something very important. I don't know. Well, I'm not going to be able to lift my flower now, but let's just show you how there are no mistakes in card making. I want to take the Ranunculus Romance, and I wanted to curl up my edges too. Wow. I'm a whole step ahead of myself. I'm not going to be able to do that now. Okay, so we've got kind of that scripty thing from the Ranunculus Romance. I'm going to pull this out again because I'm going to be coming off my paper just slightly. And I like to stamp first so I can see what I'm doing and to make sure that I'm actually not upside down. I'm going to stamp off twice on purpose. And where do I want to go with this? Don't overthink it, Denise. 1, 2, and right here. 1, 2, and down there. And right across here. I'm not worried that I... So normally, I would have done this before that flower went down. So do as I say, not as I do. So, okay, that's good. Let's do that even 3 times. I just wanted to fill that in a little bit there. And let's do that again right here. There we go. I like it. Okay, we're going to grab this little guy, and we're going to grab the dots from Beautifully Happy. And this is a photopolymer, but because it's such a small stamp, I'm not too worried about my foam mat behind. So take a peek. There we go. We're good. Stamp off. No, I don't need to stamp off. And I am just twisting as I go because I don't want them all in the same orientation. Somebody told me that that wasn't a word, orientation. I don't know. I've always used orientation. A little bit off there. I don't know if I'm doing too many dots, but in my mind, you can't have too many dots. I love dots. Put one there. Let's get some stuff happening on the edge here. Take a peek. Where's my empty spots? Right there. I like it. I like it. Now I think all of our stamping is done. Let's put some mini dimensionals behind here. And I'm just going to go on either side. Just because I already have my stem, and there's no dimensionals behind there, but it is going to be a smidge higher. And so I don't really want my sentiment higher in the middle. Put that wherever you want, and I kind of like it how I had it on my first card. Now, if I was going to, and I wonder what would happen if I did, here's how I do my vintage edge. I just kind of crawl with my nails, and I know my friend who is also a manicurist, I do my own nails though, she says, these are jewels, they're not tools. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I use them all the time. So I just kind of scratch my edges up. Normally I would do this before these are adhered, and I would do them individually. I like to fold over and crumple my corners, and that's on purpose. You can also use the edge of your scissors. I know lots of people do. I have never mastered that for whatever reason. It just doesn't seem to work for me. So I'm just crumpling my corners, roughing up the edges of my cardstock. So this is how I do it. Now, if you did it with your snips, apparently you go like this. And it just, for whatever reason, I can't seem to master it as well. So I just got in the habit of using my jewels, my nails. Okay, so I've got crumpled corners. Now, oftentimes, once I've done that, I actually like to come back in again with my ink, so whatever color you're using, and I want to accent these corners and kind of just really messy them up, really. I've got things clinking here. Sorry about that. Okay, so that's that. So now we have sort of made it into a vintage with all my blunders here. I'm going to take my white glue and I'm going to put it right down. But before I do that, I see that I'm still fairly white here. So you know what? Let's just take care of that. Let's see if that helped. It did. And I want a little more along that edge. I try for the most part, and don't always remember, but I try for the most part to always look before I adhere something down, just in case I need to change it up or or add something more. So do as I say, not as I do, because I put my 2 panels together before I crumpled up my edges. I just want to get this looking a little muddier. Get some on that side. Whoops. I went straight down and got, it's not going to really show. Now, another thing you can do is you can come back in and stamp your edges as well. We are not going to do that because I'm actually quite pleased with that look. Let's get that down onto our card base. We've got our inside done. So we've blended our inside as well as our flower. No naked insides. Eyeballing, top, bottom, left, right. Got my corners happening here. Very happy with that. We're going to grab the classic matte dots, and we're just going to put those down wherever we want. And I for sure want 3. And I liked placement of what I did before. So 1 and 2. And then let's grab a bigger one for down here, and 3. And your card is done. Okay? I hope you like that. I hope you have enjoyed this bundle tutorial and everything that the other Stampin' Up! Demonstrators have brought to you. So thank you so much for popping in. I hope I have inspired you to pull out your Ranunculus romance and have a go with that. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Again, my name is Denise Willerton, and I can be reached at denisewillerton@gmail.com. If you would not mind subscribing to my YouTube channel, I would be honored if you did that. So thank you for popping by. Enjoy, and enjoy all the other tutorials. We will see you next month. Bye now. I also go live Thursdays at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time here in Canada. I would love for you to join me on my lives. We'll talk to you later. Bye now.